Well, here we go again with the Donald Trump Jr. yesterday releasing a series of emails that he said so that he could offer the public complete transparency. And it seems like the big show here, which is driving the fake news media into an absolute state of delirious frenzy, is the way I could say it. Delirious frenzy is because in one of his emails in the chain that he released, there was an email from John Goldstone, who we talked about yesterday. Well, that was because he did business with him, and he was one of the people active in his company, ran the pageant and things of that nature. So here's basically what we have. So in this email, Goldstone says, hey, the Russian government has some information on Hillary Clinton, and that's very negative, and we'd like you to meet with this lawyer and share it. Now, we talked about this yesterday. This is called opposition research. That's all this is, right? Opposition research. That's what this is. So Donald Trump Jr. in June, as the campaign is going forward and his father was the apparent nominee, he says, sure, love it. What's not to love? I mean, it's not like he got an email from the Russian Federation government saying, we'd like to collude with you. Just like the Russian government has some information. Well, what about the dossier on his father that some government official had? I mean, that doesn't matter. He said, yeah, I'll meet with that. If you got some Oppo information, I don't care who it's coming from, I'm going to meet with you. And he didn't meet with a Russian official. He met with some lawyer, and the whole thing turned out to be a ruse anyway. It turned out to be a ruse. No matter how you spin the thing, it was a complete ruse. So what is the frenzy here, right? What is exactly going on? Now they want to go back and they're digging up Donald Trump Jr.'s business in Moscow. This guy ran with his father a real estate company that had properties that were developments all over the globe. Whether they were in Russia or Ukraine or Timbuktu has nothing to do with anything. So again, it's like, what is the frenzy here? And that's why Donald Trump Jr. released the emails. There's nothing there. I mean, this is so much about nothing. And this is all you're going to hear. The president just had a phenomenal week in Europe last week at the G20 summit from his transformational America First, be proud of your country, be proud of freedom speech in Warsaw that rivaled Reagan's speech at the wall in Germany 30 years ago or more, right? 35 years ago, rivaling that speech. He had a great G20 summit. He had a great meeting with world leaders. He's going back to Paris tomorrow. And so now all we're going to talk about in the next, week, 2 weeks, the only thing we're going to talk about is this meeting that Donald Trump Jr. had, which turned out to be absolutely nothing. I mean, there's nothing here. I don't even know what I could report on. Some lawyer, one of his people sends an email and he says, great, I love it. I love to have a meeting and learn about Oppo information on our opponent in the fall. I love to do that. Who the heck wouldn't want to do that? Now, a lot of people are saying, well, Donald Trump Jr., people are alleging that he had collusion with the Kremlin because what? Because he got an email and because he's been to Moscow? They are world travelers. They have properties all over the globe. This whole thing is so stupid. But I tell you what, the New York Times is like beside themselves in ecstasy because they have this nothing story. And now Donald Trump Jr. himself releases these emails. There's nothing there, but we're going to spend the day talking about it because it's all, I was at the press conference yesterday, that's all anybody wants to ask about is these stupid emails that Donald Trump Jr. released. This email he got from one of his associates, Rob Goldstein, had said basically that somebody had for him connected to the Russian government, negative information about Hillary Clinton. So he emails Donald Trump, who then writes back, "Thanks, Rob. This was on June 3rd. I appreciate that. I'm on the road at the moment, but perhaps I just speak to him in first. Seems we have some time, and is that what you say? I love it, especially later in the summer. Could we do a call first thing next week when I'm back?" So his first email was like, "Yeah, catch up with me when I get back." I mean, this is an email from a friend of his, right? So what? I mean, what the hell does this have to do with anything? Then Goldstone writes back like 3 days later, "Hi, Don. Let me know when you are free to talk with Eamon by phone about this Hillary info you had mentioned early in the week. So wanted to try to schedule time and day best for you and family, Rob Goldstone," a friend of Donald Trump's. And then he says, "Could we speak now?" Goldstone says, "Let me track him down in Moscow. What number could I call?" And it goes on from there. And then he said, "How about 3 o'clock at our offices?" And then he says, "Great. I'll likely bring Paul Manafort and my brother-in-law. Meet me on the 25th floor at certain time at Trump Tower." And Goldstone then changes the meeting with a Russian attorney. I mean, this is what the email chain is. There's absolutely nothing here. And here was Donald Trump Jr.'s statement yesterday that he put out. He said, "To everyone, in order to be totally transparent, I'm releasing the entire email chain of my emails with Rob Goldstone about the meeting on June 9th, 2016. The first email on June 3rd, 2016 was from Rob, who was relating a request from Eamon, a person I know, from the 2013 Miss Universe pageant near Moscow." They own the pageant. They had business there. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Eamon and his father have a very highly respected company in Moscow. The information they suggested they had about Hillary Clinton, I thought, was political opposition research, just like anybody else in America would. My words, not his. Anybody. As chairman of the Trump campaign in Virginia, if somebody emailed me this, that I knew, a friend of mine, and said, "Hey, I've got something on Hillary I got from whomever, the Russian government. I don't care where they got it. Would you like to meet?" And I knew the person, and I knew the person I was meeting with from a business relationship I had. Of course I'd meet with him. What am I going to do? Not meet? Of course I am. Anybody would. Anybody would. Podesta would. Clinton would. Bernie Sanders would. Marco Rubio would. Anybody would have met with these people. He knew the parties. Then he goes on to say, "I first wanted to just have a phone call, but when that didn't work, they said the woman would be in New York," and this is true. He said, "Hey, just do a phone call." Then they said, "This lawyer would be in New York," and asked if I would meet. I said, "Sure. Take the meeting." The woman, as she has said publicly, was not a government official. So it's not like I was meeting with a government official, a member of the Politburo or somebody in the Russian government or an agency. I'm meeting with some lawyer. And the first thing I had to do was just have a phone call. And as we have said, she had no information to provide, and she wanted to talk about adoption policy and the Magnitsky Act, which was the ruse of the meeting. They got a meeting under false pretenses to get their adoption agenda across. To put this in context, Donald Trump Jr. says, "This occurred before the current Russian fever was in vogue. As Rob Goldstone had just said in the press, the entire meeting was, quote unquote, the most inane nonsense I ever heard, and I was actually agitated by it because it was a colossal waste of our time." That is it. I'm telling you, there is nothing there. Let's get to Tony in Highland Springs. Tony, you're on the air.
Good morning, John. I'm so
Good
glad
morning.
you have this show. You make my life every day. I have my alarm clock set to the John Fredericks Show.
Thank
and
you.
I love the way you kick them in the butt.
Thank you.
I know you're friends with Tim Kaine. I don't like the man. I remember when he ran for governor, said he wasn't going to have any new taxes, and within 7 days, he came out with a whole new taxation plan, and everything he did after that got worse. I don't like him. I don't like him as a person. Okay. But yesterday, he took this simple incident that an 11th grader could have figured out in 2 minutes was a nothing burger. And that man was actually talking about treason. He said, this borders on treason. Right there, I would have brought out the straitjackets and hauled him off to some rest house. Treason, really? You know, his mouth is dangerous, and that's all I got to say. Friend or not, John, you got to look at that man and say, there's something wrong in his head. All right, thank you very much. Have a wonderful show.
Thanks, Tony. Live in D.C. today. Egg him on. I mean, I want the Democrats to call for treason, impeachment, and this nonsense over nothing, because it is going to blow up in their face. The more they do it, the more I'm convinced we're going to keep winning. Because average people look at this and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? The guy got an email from a friend of his, and they said they had dirt on Clinton. They're in the middle of a campaign. He asked for a phone call. They wouldn't do that. And then he meets with some lawyer in New York, and he brings 2 witnesses. And there was nothing there. I mean, what was he supposed to say when he got this email? Didn't come. Look, let's put this in context. This email to Donald Trump Jr. did not come from a Russian government official or a spy or someone connected with anybody. It came from Rob Goldstone, one of his contract employees that he does business with, who's a friend of his, and said, hey, I got this info. Maybe it's going to be helpful. Now, he says he got it from the Russian government. He didn't know where it came from. And maybe it did. Tim Kaine would. If the same call came from a friend of Tim Kaine's son to his father, he would have met with them to see what the Oppo research on Trump was. And let me tell you something else. What about all the things that went on with the Trump dossier? Right? Did New York Times profile that? But the liberals are going to keep it up. The Democrats are going to keep it up because they certainly can't talk about the policies they have because they don't have any. So this is all they're going to talk about. Tim Kaine saying it's treason. Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead. Warner, call for impeachment. Do it. Do it. Don't stop. Go on every TV network. Have your hair go on fire and keep telling the American people about treason and impeachment. Keep doing it, Democrats. Keep doing it, because that is our prescription for another victory in 2018, because the average people know this is a lot of baloney. Okay, so let's get to Darren in Richmond. Darren, you're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Trucking the Truth. Welcome.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
This whole discussion about treason and collusion and all, the focus needs to be on what laws have been broken.
Right.
It doesn't look like any laws have been broken. And, I agree with you totally. They keep pushing this narrative because they've got nothing else other than Trump sucks.
That's right. Thank you. Thanks for picking this up. I am trying to push this out to every man. In fact, I asked CNN the other day, can I say sucks on TV? They're like, oh, we have to look into that. Because this is it. It's the entire Democratic Party now, their entire platform is Trump sucks, Donald Trump Jr. sucks, and Ivanka sucks. That's it. That's their platform. There were no laws broken here. You nailed it. Now, let me ask you something else. What about this dossier on Donald Trump that was released to the New York Times and the Clinton campaign by a former, right, government agent? This was released by a government agent of the United Kingdom, okay? This was released by a government agent, not by some lawyer, not by an email with a friend, right? What about the fact during the Israeli election for Bibi Netanyahu, Obama sent in his key campaign operatives, got the money, raised the money, funded them, went to Israel to fan out and work for his defeat? I mean, what about that? Right? Did the Obama campaign operatives that went to Israel, did they not call up the opposition party or Bibi's opposition candidate operatives and say, here, we have Oppo on this guy, or we have campaign? Why were they there? There were 10 of them there. What the hell were they doing? Where's that in the New York Times? This is such garbage, but this is all they have, Darren. They got nothing else. All right, you got me on a rant. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's good. Keep going, John. Keep going. I'll let you go.
I am sick of this. I mean, I'm up here in D.C., healthcare, taxes, tariffs, China, wars, North Korea, troops going to Afghanistan, and all these imbeciles want to talk about is some stupid email exchange between Trump's son and a friend of his, Rob Goldstone. This email didn't come, www.kremlin.com. This came from a friend. Hey, you want to meet with this person? Had some information. I don't even know what Goldstone knew. This is so stupid.
This stuff
Darren,
goes on all the time. This goes
it is.
on all the time.
I tell you what,
campaigns.
Darren, it goes on all the time. It is part of opposition research. And I tell you what, the stuff that you learn when you come up here and you get right in front of the Capitol, right in front of the White House, and you go out for dinner, you meet with people, you go for a cup of coffee, you can't get this in Richmond. You can't get it. That's why when the General Assembly is in session, I go to the General Assembly. You can't get it sitting in a studio 3 hours away. You just can't get what's
That's
going
right.
on, Darren.
That's
Thank you. And thanks for tuning in.
And I think it's also worth mentioning this. There's this GPS company that was involved in both of these incidents. Correct?
Yes, absolutely. And where's that? Right? This
That's
is
right.
this is such nonsense. All right, man. Thanks. I got to roll. Let's get to Jay in Chesapeake. Hey, Jay, you're on the air.
Good morning, John. It's good to talk to you again. I inadvertently came across kind of the liberal media's motto when I was watching television the other day.
Right.
I was watching one of these competition shows, and the contestant that's about to get, that's up on the chopping block to get eliminated, is blaming another contestant who was safe for that week. And the judges pointed out that the safe contestant's work was consistently better and et cetera, and that's why he was safe. And then the contestant who's on the chopping block came up with the greatest motto for liberals. He said, well, those are your facts. Those aren't my facts. And the judge is just kind of sitting there stunned. It's like, these are the facts. I mean, his work has been consistently better. That's why he's not up for elimination. And just, and I think the New York Times must have been watching that and decided to run with it because, and Tim Kaine and a lot of the others, because they're just substituting their own facts in and just, saying, well, we know that there's no ties between this lawyer and the Kremlin, and she's denied it as such, but those are your facts. And our facts is that she's she and Putin are our best friends type thing. But I just thought it was a wonderful motto for liberals is those are your facts, those aren't our facts.
Well, it's kind of like when Kellyanne Conway said that time, we have alternative facts. I mean, facts are facts, but that is a good motto. And you're right. The New York Times, see, they don't care about the facts because they have an agenda, and their agenda is they got another 2 weeks now where they can push everything to the side and they can focus on this number one stupid issue, which is Donald Trump got an email. And again, I want to go back to this. If you're Donald Trump Jr., you're getting an email from Rob Goldstone, one of your contract employees that you work with on a variety of things, your friend. Not like you hang with him, but you know him. He's like in your company, right? He's a contractor. He does the pageants and whatever. He's paid for by the Trump organization as a contractor, as they do many people. So he knows him. So he gets this email who says, we have info, came from, doesn't matter where it came from. And Donald Trump's first reaction is, all right, set up a call. I mean, he didn't even let's have this secret meeting. He's like, set a call up, right? I'm busy right now. Set a call next week. It's not like he dropped everything and said, wow, let's have this covert clandestine meeting. He's like, just set up a call if you got something. I'll invest 5 minutes on my cell phone where I'm on the road traveling, doing my job. Oh, well, no, we can't.
He handled it like a CEO or a businessman would handle it.
Bingo.
Do a little footwork, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Now, it appears that she misled him, and that happens all the time in the business world. It's part of doing business. But I appreciate your show, John. I got to run, but it was good talking to you this morning, and keep at it.
Thank you, Jay. Just tired of these people. It's such nonsense. Okay, got a text here from Milton in Newport News. Says, don't forget Hillary operatives and the DNC meeting with Ukrainian government officials who work to defeat Trump. Exactly. I mean, let's not forget about that, right? Let's not forget about the Ukrainian meetings, right, with the Hillary operatives, right, and what they brought out of Paul Manafort, who, by the way, I'm not a Manafort fan. I can't stand the guy, so I'm not going to even comment on it. When you don't like somebody to the extent like I don't like him, you really can't have an intelligent conversation on it. I'm mature enough to realize that. This is from Jimmy in Chesapeake, who says this is about Rob Goldstone, a promoter promoting a meeting. That's what this guy does. He's a promoter. He's promoting a meeting with some lawyer under false pretenses. This is so stupid. It's beyond belief. Okay, let's go to Colonel Mike from wherever you are today. Colonel Mike, you're on the air.
Buddy, listen, everybody's going to, in fact, you're doing a great rant and everybody's going to rant, but you got to have the facts, John.
All right.
The guy who did the most treason to this country was Obama. Right. Obama gave $200 million plus to the Muslim Brotherhood while the Egyptians were fighting these guys. I mean, the Arab Spring was funneling money all over the place. Here's the deal. The deal was the bundler for Clinton, put together an organization that created a buy of uranium in New Mexico to sell to Putin. Nobody talks about it in the press. They drop it like a dead fish. Putin's buying uranium from New Mexico. We still not have stopped it since Trump was elected. And where is that uranium going? To a third party called Iran. Okay? So if anybody wants to talk about treason, why don't the press, including you, John, why don't the press keep bringing up the fact of we sold uranium to supposedly this Russian enemy that we have, because they call it every day, Russian enemy, and Putin's probably, handing it off to Iran. And that was another deal, another one of those treasonous deals, the enemy list. Remember that Iran is on, the terrorist list or something like that, Hezbollah? And then they gave $1.3 billion. Why not keep using Obama and Clinton's name and forget about Trump and Trump's kid? See, these guys are great at what they do, John. They'll outfox the Republicans 3-1. They're tying them up. They're putting handcuffs on him. Nothing's going on. Yes, there are things moving in the agenda. He's getting wins, but he doesn't have all his people in place. There's no deputy secretaries, and that's basically what they want. Just keep this stuff going so that they get to a midterm and say, see, we have to take back the government. To be honest with you, John, quite honest with you, very honest with you, both parties suck. Okay? That's it.
All right. Well, I started a new trend. No question about that. I want to thank Mike for that call. Let's get to Tom in Yorktown. Tom, you're on the air. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Hey, good morning, John. How you doing?
Good.
John, I look at this in a common sense way, and next time you're on CNN, I wish you would just go and go this route. First of all, if the Democrats believe this lawyer who says, okay, I didn't know anything about the campaign, I had no connection to it, they can't believe her, because if they believe her, there's definitely no crime, because she had nothing. She says, I told him nothing, I didn't lead him on, there was nothing, so there's no crime. If they believe Donald Trump Jr. as says, well, I went there under the auspices of trying to find something about the Clinton campaign, okay, if you believe him, then tell me what the crime is. Don't sit there and tell me this is treason. Tell me, because in order to prosecute someone, you got to have a statute that they broke. I have heard nobody, including Tim Kaine, who, John, is a lawyer who has taught at the University of Richmond Law School. He should know better than to throw out words like treason. But even he himself has never given a statute. So look him straight in the face, John, and say, okay, tell me what statute or what law that he broke. John, they can't do it, because they'll say something, well, this is something we got to look more into. I think this smoking gun. No, tell me what they have all the information right now. He gave them all the email train. So tell me right now what statute he broke. They won't be able to do it, John. They can't.
Well, that's it. I mean, they can't do it because it doesn't exist, right? I mean, he broke no law. And, Tom, you absolutely are correct. But the thing is, the lawyer who set the meeting up, who was in the meeting, said she had no information, she knew nothing, she said nothing, and the meeting ended after 17 minutes. And they threw her out and said, thanks for coming, bye, what's next? I mean, there's nothing. The person who was in the meeting said there was nothing. Who set the meeting up said there was nothing. Promoted by Rod Goldstone, who is a promoter that works for the Trump organization promoting stuff. What? He was promoting a meeting. Maybe he was their liaison. I mean, maybe he was their promoter. I don't know. Who cares is my point. But you're right. What statute was broken? Look, let Tim Kaine, don't get mad at Kaine. I'm telling you, my audience today, don't get mad at him. Egg him on. Egg him. Send them tweets saying, go Tim. Egg them on. Let them fall in their own trap. Let them sink in their own sewage. Don't get mad at them. Encourage them. I want Mark Warner, Senate Intel Vice Chair. I want him to get on TV and talk about treason and impeachment. Do it. Sink yourselves. If you want to help Trump and help the cause, egg the Democrats on, because they have nothing else, and this is a zero for them, which is going to backfire with the same voters that kicked them out last time. Working people that are trying to figure out their life, that all this stuff is a sideshow. All right. Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. Let's go to Roberto in Chesapeake. Roberto, you're on the air.
Good morning, John. I just want to, first of all, I consider myself a regular guy, and I'm just sick of the Democrat Party, sick of CNN and their enablers that have no plan for America. They just want to focus on this whole Russia thing and not talk about what we're going to do for America. I was not a Trump person to begin with, but there was no way I was going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And all they've done is push me solidly into Trump's corner because they have zero plan for our country. Zero plans.
It is pretty amazing, is it not? It is pretty amazing. They have no plan, and I'm going to keep saying it on the air so we can brand this. The Democratic Party platform right now is 2 words: Trump sucks. And then their preamble to that is, and by the way, Ivanka sucks and Donald Trump Jr. sucks too. That's their platform. The Trump family sucks is the Democratic platform. That's why I'm telling you, people, egg them on. Roberto, egg them on. When Kaine gets on TV and talks about treason, send them a tweet, redo his tweet and say, you go, Timmy boy. You go. Keep doing it. Keep
For a guy who went to law school, you figured he would understand the definition of treason to begin with.
Of course he knows what the definition is. All these people know what the definition is. They're playing to a narrow base that you want to encourage. You want to encourage this. Why? Because when it comes election time, voters in these traditional blue states that are going to work right now, the Democratic Party is offering them absolutely nothing. They will reject them again. Trump is trying to get jobs back in America. He's trying to get things done. Everybody knows this is nonsense. And the more the Democrats throw out stupid things like treason, the more dumb they're going to look in November of 2018. Thank you, Roberto. We're out of time for this segment. Live from Washington, D.C., this is the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're going to cut the crap and get right to the facts here, of which Donald Trump Jr. didn't do a damn thing wrong. But Trump sucks, according to the Democrats.